Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, family. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mental House with me, your host, Khadija. Listen, y'all, I'd like to touch on a subject. There's, I would hope to be not controversial, but you have people nowadays that when they hear the word God, it just freaks them out to the point where they can't receive any other information afterwards because whenever you mention the word God, they think you automatically going to take them off of some religious trip. I'm not trying to do that this morning, but what I am trying to do is give you a prayer that I say to myself when I get overwhelmed with all the action causation bound hypocrisy madness that we find ourselves in sometimes, and sometimes you need a break or pretty much a rest from that type of energy. So the Reverend Jim Cotter wrote something, God Be, and he wrote it a long time ago. But if those who have ears, let them hear it. Okay? And whenever you find yourself overwhelmed with things, I want you to understand something. This is one of the most powerful, to me, for me, one of the most powerful affirmations that a person can do, can read, can reassure themselves with, can become one with, to solidify themselves with. And I just want to share that with y'all right now. God be in my head and in my understanding. God be in my eyes and in my looking. God be in my mouth and in my speaking. God be in my tongue and in my tasting. God be in my lips and in my greeting. God be in my nose and in my smelling. God be in my ears and in my hearing. God be in my neck and in my humbling. God be in my shoulders and in my bearing. God be in my back and in my standing. God be in my arms and in my reaching. God be in my hands and in my working. God be in my legs and in my walking. God be in my feet and in my grounding. God be in my joints and in my relating. God be in my guts and in my feeling. Mm, mm, mm. God be in my bowels and in my forgiving. God be in my loins and in my swerving. God be in my lungs and in my breathing. God be in my heart and in my loving. God be in my skin and in my touching. God be in my flesh and in my paining. God be in my blood and in my living. God be in my bones and in my dying. God be at my end and in my revival. See you in the next video.